कौन कर रहे हैं?
भाई राय सिंह जी दरबार साहब दा हजूरी रागी हाँ जी so that was by Rai Singh ji Hazuri Ragi Darbar Sahab. So before we start with Sikh Living in Western Society Part 2 I wanted to just kind of let's see if we can set up a North Star कि हाँ Guru Sahab ने की क्या है कित्थे जाना है and then we can say where we are lacking in terms of the culture that we have over here, especially in the West.
And also maybe recap a little bit what was done before.
हाँ जी ते बिल्कुल ते एक शब्द पहले अपना since we just heard the शब्द पंजवें गुरु साहब जी दा गुरु अर्जन देव जी दा शब्द है क्या आसमेला पंजवा एक तुके चौपद है एक घड़ी दिनस मुको बहुत दिहाड़े. So every moment one day feels like many days. मन ना रहे कैसे मिलों प्यारे. My mind cannot survive. How can I meet my beloved? एक पल दिनस मुको कभो ना बिहावे. I cannot endure even one day without, or even one instant without him. दर्शन की मन आस घनेरी कोई ऐसा संत मुको पिरह मिलावे रहो. My mind's desire for the beloved, for the blessed vision of his darshan is so great. Is there any saint who can lead me to meet my beloved? चार पहर चौ जुगे समाने. The four watches of the day are like the four ages. रैन बही तब अंत न जाने. And when night comes, I think that it shall never end. पंच दूत मिल पिरों विछोड़ी. The five demons have joined together to separate me from my husband Lord. Bhram bhram rove haat pachori. Wandering and rambling, I cry out and wring my hands. Jan Nanak ko har darsha dikhaya. The Lord has revealed the blessed vision of his darshan to servant Nanak. Atma cheen param sukh paya. Realizing his own self, he has obtained supreme peace. So this is kind of avastha di Guru Sahab gal karde hain ki this is where we want to be, want to get to, where we cannot even live without the darshan of Guru Sahab, of Vaheguru. And if you look at the challenges we face in the Western society, we realize how far we are from that. So as we पिछली बारी cover किया सीगा, we started with challenges with the American dream. Living in the West, living in America, we are faced with a lot of challenges. The American dream kinds of imposes a certain lifestyle upon us, and when we start following that lifestyle, you slowly start realizing that you are living, slowly getting away from what Guru Sahib has actually asked you to do in your life. And the general culture in the Western society of egotism, of showing off, or basically making sure that you can to rise up in is like basically selling yourself, marketing yourself all the time. Is kind of anti to a certain extent to what Guru Sahib's humility principle is. It's very critical, and when you start working in the workforce, you start realizing that more and more. And that's where we covered this last time. Uncle, I don't know if we want to actually go to this at the end if we have the time, because we have a lot of new sangat.
We have a lot of time because just he's sick today, so we are not doing the Japanese stuff. So
right.
Take all the time we want.
Hanji. So we can start with the ones we didn't do last time, and then if we have time later on, we can come back to these because we have new sangat and we can have a have good conversation there. So today we can cover. At least we should try and cover the sexual diversions and anger, what Guru Sahib says about it, and what we actually encounter in our day-to-day life in the West. And I would say last but not the least is the rise of atheism. I'll go into more detail, but that is definitely concerning. If you actually, we don't feel that way in this room because I think we've been raised to that level, but the minute you start seeing the trends outside, we'll cover that in more detail. The mind and the human actions. ऐ मन जैसा सेवे तैसा होवे तेहे कर्म कमाए. आप बीज आपे ही खावना कहना किछु न जाए. O mind, as you serve, so do you become, and so are the deeds that you do. Whatever you yourself plant, that is what you shall have to eat. Nothing else can be said about this. The premise of this took for this context was जिस तरह it's all about where we spend most of our time in our day, in our daily life, and जिस तरह ਅਸੀਂ अपना मन जिस पास से अपना वो time spend कर रहे हैं उस save रहे हैं, your actions and your mentality slowly starts becoming and slowly starts digressing in that direction. So it is critical how we spend our time and how we spend our mental thought process throughout the entire day. And if you look at it, this is where the US system, I think, has a lot of challenges because there is an excessive focus on calm and growth, and in terms of calm, you have really easy access on TV and media. You open a newspaper and you will see a lot of articles of that. You start your television, you see a lot of it. I mean, you just start walking outside and see the access is so easy that there is a very little barrier from that perspective. And then the rise of the internet.
We are surrounded by so much marketing and promotion.
Right.
And a lot of that uses sexual images
and violent images, yes.
All the time.
Absolutely.
Even when it's not very obvious, it's still subliminally it's that.
Exactly.
So these young, beautiful people doing things, those kinds of scenes, enough to use that as a way to communicate, to sell.
And it's an easy sell, right? I think they have realized that if you want to capture the market, I think there's a saying says, right, the sex sells. It is very easy to actually sell your product, and you start looking at ads and you see this thing has got nothing to do with a beautiful person on the screen.
All the car ads.
Hanji?
All the car ads.
All the car ads. Okay, what the hell has the car got to do with that, right?
Well, also in the entertainment field, you see something for the amusement, for the theme, for other things, but along with that comes
Right.
always a lot of sex sells again, even in entertainment. Even though it's funny, but it's always sexual at the same time.
Oh yes, yes.
See, most of the time they're showing you nude girls or semi-clad girls and so on and so on. Is it means that the men are more prone to sexual temptation than the women?
I think that's part of it. The other
Yes.
part is men are making the decisions on what to sell, what to buy, and what to promote. So they are doing more of it also. But yeah, I mean, the male psychology is a little more driven by visual sexual things.
So it's a part of the natural development.
In terms of what has more impact,
Male dominance in the society.
that's one part. That's what I said. That's one part of it is the males are making the decisions and they're selling it for the males. The other side is the males are more affected by sexual images, by the visual part of sex than women are to some extent. It's both sexes are, but there is more. It's slightly different.
Women and families do participate in decision making of what to buy, what not to buy. So it's not that it's only men who make the decision.
True, but
Generally, it's the women also who are.
But the decisions on the publicity side, selling side, men are more in charge. To some extent. I mean, these
So
are both
it's not on the customer side, it's more on the, you think, on the seller side that the men are more in charge.
I think so. I think that's my personal.
And they're thinking they're
That's
selling
the way
it to
around.
men. That's interesting.
To some extent.
So is it
There are multiple factors, right?
Yeah.
Go back to the country, go back to the Indian society. Women are much more subdued than the women can speak here.
So that is
In the Indian society, you are talking about America.
But even
You
in
talk about India, from where we are coming. Indian women are very much subdued.
In India, yes.
So,
but even
No,
here,
we're talking of the American society here.
Hanji.
but even
So
even
here-
here, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think in American societies, women and the families play a big role where kids are going to school, what kind of car to buy, what kind of home to buy. I don't think it's the men only making decision. So I'm surprised that, yeah, this is a emphasis, but something worth thinking about.
Yeah, I think they're both aspects. Men are, it's more easier to sell to men with sexual imagery than to women.
Sure.
That's one part of it. That's the customer side. And the
Okay.
other side, as I said, to some extent, it's also because a lot of the decisions are being made by men also.
Madam, I
To some
think
extent,
one
not
thing
entirely.
India-
As you said, that's not entirely.
India, we have to divide India into two parts. One is the middle society, lower middle class, upwards.
Right.
One is the lower middle class, growth. Lower middle class upward, the respect to the lady has been restored. I mean, when I was a kid, my mother was a doctor, and she had quite a say. and we also listen to our ladies. Okay. This is a lower middle class, but in the low class, when you see what happens in the tribal areas there, where
Sure,
tribal
maybe men are more dominant.
men are totally dominating, ladies have no role there.
See, but even where they are selling ads for middle class people, the ads will still have more pretty women in that, even in India.
Right.
So the fact
Mostly
is that
women
we are thinking there's a slim figure being projected there. This is only appealing to the men. This thing. The ladies also want to be slim and all. So as they say, the most of the advertising and is directed toward the women and the kids. If you see, so it is not that whatever sexual overtures you see there. They're only directed toward the men. It's the ladies also. They want to slim down.
But it's an interesting point though, because
So there's the indirect fact that women want to appear beautiful to men, and the culture is, at least in America, oriented towards women saying your looks are very important more than anything else.
yeah, I think so. Women as well.
That-
That may be a good reason. Yes, that may be a good reason.
Yes.
Yeah, women are more beautiful.
But I
Sir,
think
if you see all the ladies magazine,
they also have a lot of women.
those magazines are only bought by the ladies. So they have not that, if you see a man going for a shopping, he just goes there, buys the things and comes back. It's the ladies who have to be attracted to buy the things. And most of the shopping, if you do at home, is dictated by the ladies.
Right.
Whatever the reason, there is a lot of sex in the environment.
Yeah.
How does our religion talk about dressing? Our religion talk about dressing?
Dressing clothes.
How about
Religion
it
talks
really
about,
dressing?
well, there are many examples of it that talk about beauty and dressing, but it's always referring to the soul and us being attractive to God. But the imagery that's used is of a woman looking beautiful.
But on the Muslim side, they have a very hijab and other stuff. I think that
but-
also is to deal with all this problem, I guess.
But what about all the Middle East poetry? That's all about women and beauty, right? So it's still part of that culture.
Uncle, the tuk surgery.
रत्ता पहनन
ਹਾਂਜੀ
मन रत्ता सुपे दी सत्ता रत्ता पहनन मन रत्ता लाल रंग ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਾਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਮਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਿਆ ਹੈ ਐਸੇ ਲਾਲ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਲਾਲ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾਣੇ ਮਨ ਰੱਤਾ ਸੁਪੇ ਦੀ ਸੱਤਾ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾਏ ਸੱਤ ਦਾ ਦਾਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਇਹ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾ ਲੈ ਰੱਤਾ ਪਹਿਨਨ ਮਨ ਰੱਤਾ ਸੁਪੇ ਦੀ ਸੱਦਾਨ ਨੀਲੀ ਸਿਆਹੀ ਕਦਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਿਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੱਢਣਾ ਨੀਲੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਤੇ ਕਾਲੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾ ਸੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਪਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲੀ ਆਊਟਸਾਈਡ ਐਂਡ ਇਨਸਾਈਡ ਇਹ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੱਸੀਆਂ
बट अंकल वो भी है ना सो पहनना
Baba,
जिस
so-
पहन-
बाबा से हाँ जित पहन दे तन पीड़िया मन में चले विकार
ਜਿਤ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਮਨ ਪੀੜੀਏ
तन पीड़िया मन में चले विकार
ਹੈਗਾ ਉਸ
पहनने वाले भी है
Internet ਤੇ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ।
हाँ जी यही शब्द है
ਮਨ ਰੱਤਾ ਸੁਪੇ ਦੀ ਸਰਦਾਰ
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ।
ਨੀਲੀ ਸਿਆਹੀ ਕਦਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਹਿਰਣ ਬਾਬਾ ਹੋਰ ਪਹਿਣਾ ਹੋਰ ਬਾਬਾ ਹੋਰ ਪਹਿਣਾ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਖੁਆਰ ਜਿਤ ਪੈਂਦੇ
तन पीड़िए मन में चले
ਵਿਕਾਰ ਐਸੇ ਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਐਂਡ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਚ
राइट
You're saying you can
ਜਿਹਦੇ
wear-
ਪਾਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਕਾਰ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਨੇ we have to forgo
हाँ जी तो बेसिकली to the question that whatever creates vikar inside your self avoid wearing those kind of dresses I guess but
The
actually
thing is, people become very happy. Oh, you are looking beautiful. That also is very common. How you looking
Clearly,
smart,
Guru
you looking
Sahib doesn't say you can't wear beautiful clothes because they're using that as an analogy when they talk about being good qualities and being attractive to God. He talks about beautiful clothes and looking beautiful, but he says don't limit yourself to that. Instead, make yourself, as you're saying, have good qualities and be beautiful. Be appealing to your beloved, divine beloved instead. Like sublimate it to a higher level and focus more on that. But he doesn't say you can't do that. He doesn't say, people used to bring all kinds of offerings to the gurus and their families, and then separate them and they wore them. And Guru Gobind Singh literally dressed up like a king, and so did some of the other gurus. So they are not against that. They're just saying don't get distracted by it. Focus on the real stuff.
but us which we
The
uncle
challenge here is there's a lot more challenge to be distracted in this country, and then
हाँ जी नहीं but us
how do we deal with that?
Yeah,
Right? Getting back to the subject.
Right. Us which we लेकिन limits है ना coming to the point of calm and growth is the culture has created some expectations. They if you start following the general culture, it's considered very normal. When we were growing up, the women in a household, mothers and sisters, the dressing attire was very, very different. And if you see the dressing attire now, in the middle, I would say the middle age group as well as the youngsters, is very, very different, and it's mostly aping the Western culture. Only India with you chala gaya, if you can see that. So, short dresses and exposing kind of dresses. So the question is, it's slowly crept from the media, from the televisions, from the TV serials or movies into every household. And
Now the people growing up here, our culture is the American culture.
yes,
We can't talk about the Indian culture versus American culture. But within American culture, even in Americans or Christians or other faiths, there are people who are into wearing provocative clothes and things like that. And there are people who dress nicely but are more modest and sensible.
right.
So it doesn't have to be that way. Within this culture, you can focus on the right things.
Hanji.
You can still wear Western style clothes. Women can still wear skirts and all.
Yeah.
But they don't have to focus on trying to be provocative. They can think in other ways, right?
But slowly being exposing more and more is being considered more and more normal. I think that's what my point was, and that actually coming to the original point of conversation was, it gives rise to the calm aspect of it, right? Because to give an example, kal rati the Akhand Kirtani Jathe da samagam siga and the Gurdwara Sahib, and if you actually go and walk around that group of people, I'm just using it as an example. Let's not go beyond. So it's impossible for anyone to get bad. It's almost impossible, I should say, bad vibes because of the attire that they wear. I guess. I'm not expecting everyone to go to that level, but my point, the bottom line is, the dressing does matter, and it actually does make a difference in the aspects of whether calm impacts you or not.
Basic philosophy also, another thing we have to see is Guru Sahib, that the body has been very low. Because Kabir Edan Sako Talbe ko Bahor Nange Paon Te Gaye Jinke Laab Karo. This body is going to perish. So we have to get away from attaching too much and giving more importance to the body and exhibition. Okay. So next sloka Kabir Das is saying, Kabir etan jayega, ta kavne maragla. What should we do if it's going to perish? What should we do? Kya sangat kar sadh ki, kya har ke gunga. Either do sad sangat or praise that Almighty God. That's what is needed. And also, if you want to look beautiful, there is Guru Bani says that Nanak Tejan Sone, who are beautiful, not with the clothes or in any other way. Nanak Tejan Sone, Sa Sang Jin Pehne. That is the beauty.
Let's go through a Shabad related to Kaam. Kaam krodh sad vyapya, fir joni paye. Engrossed in the intoxication of sexual desire and anger, people wander through reincarnation over and over again. Kaam krodh, the different hooks. Kaam krodh pasarya sansare, aaye jaye dukh pavanaya. Sexual desire and anger are diffused through the universe. Coming and going people suffer in pain. Kaam krodh pasarya sansare, aaye jaye dukh pavanaya. Sexual desire and anger are diffused throughout the universe. Sorry, same took, it's come twice. It's cutting and pasting error. But one more interesting thing I noticed when I was trying to search for some tuks for Kaam was Kaam te Krodh were constantly coming together in Gurbani.
Krodh, Kaya,
Gale.
Ju Kanchan, Suhaga Dale, Omkar Bani, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj.
I think both of these provoke you into actions that are more instinctive.
Right.
They look at
They
different
get
things.
you excited and make you do unreasonable, irrational things.
But Bani which
Make you lose your concentration.
हाँ जी, almost consistently, other than जिस ना कुछ तुक्का आ गए जिथे ओ हाथी ना compare कर रहे हैं, so हाथी नु काम क्रोध है, काम दा रोग है, but other than certain tuks like that, most of the places Kaam and Krodh have come together, and when I say together, it's like same sentence attached to each other in Gurbani. And I don't know if anyone has thoughts as to why. Uncle, you had.
They are connected.
They're very
They do
connected.
come separate.
Right.
They're also connected a lot because they have this thing in common.
Right, it's very instinctive.
Emotionally, they arouse you in different ways.
I mean, some of the arguments you say is it's a natural instinct, right? It's one of the basic necessities, is what people would say. So,
You see,
how do you balance it?
All these rapes which are taking place in India, which we see the violence and all those things, that is cruel. Okay, basically they are very frustrated, and given the shape as a calm, but actually is cruel. This violence. Look at that. They are beating the woman with the rods and all those type of things. And so that's what Gurbani is saying, that these two are very interconnected. Kaam Krodh, Kaya ko Kal. It really, I mean, your body depreciates faster than it's supposed to be. Kaam or Krodh, both of these things.
So then the question is, I mean, are we saying no calm and no growth, or is it a balancing act?
Just control them, don't let them control you. Obviously, you have to use calm, otherwise there won't be any kids and there won't be any more humanity, because you won't have the emotional bonding between your husband and wife. Calm plays an important positive part in that also.
How about
People all have kids, right? They all married, they have children.
how about Krodh?
Krodh, well, there's a positive form of Krodh only to the extent that you said this is unacceptable and bad things are going to fight against ego. To that extent, it's positive, but it's a question of how you interpret the word Krodh.
Krodh,
Krodh
We
is...
think of Krodh only as a negative anger, and that is clearly not something you should do.
Right.
But there is constructive part of it as saying, some things we just won't accept when they're wrong. Be able to resist things.
If we view Krodh in a more limiting sense, the same fire which will melt the butter would be hardening the egg.
Right.
So I think we have to balance somewhere.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल.
A reasonable positive objection to things. You might consider it under Krodh, and that part is good, right, up to that extent.
I think
If it makes you behave irrationally or do mean things to other people, then it's bad.
I mean, in my case, because I think my kids are at that age, the question is, do you scold them or not, right? And scolding, I would put it in the category of Krodh, but I think at some point, the point is, it's a balancing act, and at some cases you need to use the scolding weapon as well.
The kid is doing something that's dangerous to himself. They absolutely should be mad at that kid and say, don't you dare do that.
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨਾ ਕੰਮ ਲੋ ਹੰਕਾਰ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਲਿਮਟ ਤੱਕ ਤੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ
Right.
ਮਤਲਬ ਹਰ ਲਿਮਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਜਿੱਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਭੈਣ ਨੂੰ ਭੈਣ ਸਮਝੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਨੂੰ ਭੈਣ ਨੂੰ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਭੈਣ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਤੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਤਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਪਾਸ ਪਾਰ ਮੈਂ ਸੋ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਹਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਲਿਮਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰੋਧ ਆ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਊਗਾ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਰੋਧ ਵਧਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਕਰੋਧ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਰੋਧ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਹਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਖਤਰਨਾਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਰੋਧ ਹੈ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਉਹ ਬੈਲੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਾ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਲੋਡ ਹੈਗੀ ਬਟ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਲਾਈਕ I mean ਉਹ ਤੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਸੀਗਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ if you are managing people then same ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ right.
All these five vices converted into the positive direction. Krodh gets converted into tej. Gurbani ne ਦੱਸਿਆ Guru Gobind Singh ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਦਾ ਤੇਜ ਕਿਸਾ ਕਨਵਰਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਬੇ ਬਾਣ ਲਾਗੇ ਤਬੇ ਰੋਜ਼ and that time ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ ਪਰ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਔਰ ਤੇਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਫਰਕ ਹੈ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ you are not under your own control ਤੇਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ you are under your own control. Another example ਗੁਰੂ ਹਰਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਜੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਾਰ ਆਪਣਾ ਤੀਸਰਾ ਵਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ this is the way you have to do it and what is happening is Guru Hargobind Ji is totally in control. Krodh de vich we are not under control. Tej de vich we are always under control. So that's what we want to divert that into this direction.
With the ahankar kis tarah janda? I mean, since we're talking about five vices, is there a positive to the ahankar as well?
Self-respect.
Yeah.
Self-respect as well.
मान करना अपने गुरु ने
मान करो तो दूसरे ये अहंकार किसी जगह कि गुरु अपने नहीं ਮਾਨ ਕਰੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰੋ
But
ਸਾਰੇ
there is
ਸਾਰੇ
self-respect is a good thing, right? The Guruji showed that we should be able to stand up, respect ourselves, not give in to ego. You have to be able to fight back. You have to stand up and say something. There's some level of self-respect in that.
And that's what makes it hard, right? Because it's a fine line. It's a fine line between where you are self-respect to whether
All of these are fine.
very fine lines. I think ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਲੋੜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ.
I think Sikhi is all about balance and integration.
ਹਾਂਜੀ.
That's one of the big differences between Sikhi practice properly and some of the more fundamentalist approach to religion in general.
Right.
I'm not trying to say that religion versus us.
No, it's all religions, right? ਹਾਂਜੀ. It's a balancing act. ਤੇ ਉਹ balance ਲਈ ਵੀ how do you get that balance is the important thing. ਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ I think Sikhi which was a solution that was like that's where you will find the balancing.
Sangat and Gurbani.
ਸੰਗਤ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਫਾਰਮ ਆਫ ਸੰਗਤ as well. ਹਾਂਜੀ. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਮਿਲ ਹੀ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਬਟ ਐਟ ਦੀ ਐਂਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਡੇ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਲਰਨ ਫਰਮ ਪੀਪਲ ਅਰਾਊਂਡ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਲਰਨ ਫਰਮ ਪੀਪਲ ਹੂ ਆਰ ਅਹੈਡ ਆਫ ਯੂ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਟਸ ਵੇਅਰ ਯੂ ਵਿਲ ਸੇ hey somebody will guide you ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ this is where you've gone too far. This is not self respect anymore. And so jumping topics from calm and crowd to the rise of atheism, Sakatpana. I think Gurbani with Sakat karke term aaya is the. This is kind of a very concerning trend. Do you look at the recent statistics by Pew and the Blaze? They show that the percentage of atheists, agnostics, and unaffiliates have gone up to 20% now. So 20% of the Western society basically don't call themselves affiliated to any religion. And amongst youngsters, which is where the concern gets even worse, this percentage has gone up to 33%. So, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਸੁਣਨੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਮਨ ਸਾਫ਼ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. That is a rise of hey, I don't need to do part, I don't need to listen to Gurbani, I don't need to go to the Gurdwara, I don't need to do any sangat, I don't need to follow religion of Sikhi in any way. ਮਨ ਸਾਫ਼ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. And there is no ਮਨ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ automatic ਕੋਈ ਸੋਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ.
The challenge is that our instincts make our mind go in a negative way.
Yes.
If we leave it to ourselves, it doesn't always work. And that's where religion and Gurbani and Sangat come in because
Absolutely, I think.
control ourselves as much as you might think.
And it's not just control, even just knowing the path to improve yourself has to come from somewhere. There are very few people who I think would be born with it, like Guru Nanak, who would be born with that vision and that understanding ki ye path hai. But most people need the Guru, need the Sangat to actually take them in that right direction. And मन साफ आप कहना कि मन साफ होना चाहिए that does not make a मन साफ, right? क्योंकि मन भी जेड़ा काम करो लोग अहंकार है वो तो रहने ही रहने हैं. They will not go away by themselves.
Within ourselves, there are both sides. There are Shiva, Shakti, dono sides in our There's a divine spark which gives us good inspiration, and there's all the other stuff that takes us the other way.
Right.
And the other stuff is normally a lot stronger in most of us.
Yes.
And we need the reinforcement to strengthen the positive and to weaken the negative.
And coming back to the previous points, right? So the daily ਜਿਹੜੀ society ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ the place where you spend most of your time, just where if ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, you're basically running after money and running after ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਮ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ society ਵਿੱਚ, that is constantly reinforcing the other side, the wrong side I should say, in you. So you need that balance in that, as Uncle just mentioned, to push you in the right direction, I guess.
मन साफ होना चाहिए. Basically what they haven't given a degree to themselves. अपने आप ही I stamped myself. But if you ask him, do you know what is मन? क्योंकि मन जीते जग जीते ना सारी इकोनॉमिक सारी सिख गुरु ग्रंथ साहब ऐसे दे मन ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ और मन ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ. If you ask them what is मन, they would not be able to explain that. They would not understand that. मन साफ होना, basically they have given the degree themselves, but they have not got the degree from Guru Nanak Dev Ji. If you got a degree, if I put a degree myself, I'm an MBA, and you got an MBA from Stanford, who's going to get the job? So basically, that's why we get a degree from a respectable institution. Guru Nanak varge jehde ne bin satguru kine na payo, bin satguru kine na paya, satguru vich aap rakhiyo कर प्रगट आग सुनाया. उत्तम ਇਹ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਹੈ ਸੱਚੇ ਸੁੱਚ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਜਗਜੀਵਨ ਦਾ. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਵੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਲਾਵਾਂਗੇ then we will understand what is man. then we'll realize, oh my God, man saaf hona chahiye, ki keh rahe hain ਅਸੀਂ? What are we saying? It's basically somebody is babbling when he is in sleep. That's what basically it is.
Guru Sahib is...
Just to be fair, there is the fact that there are many people who believe they are religious. They follow whatever their religion is. जो सिख में पाठ कर देने, पंचवाणी का पाठ कर देने, etc. But they are still willing to do, cheat in their business and all those kinds of things. And on the other hand, there are people who are not officially religious, who may be more honest, maybe more compassionate, maybe better people. So that is some little bit behind that kind of a statement. But at the same time, if you do really listen to the Guru and the Gurbani in our case, then the people who are already good but atheists, they would be able to, otherwise they'll be limited, they'll only go so far. And if you follow Gurbani, you follow the Guru, then you can reach still higher spiritual levels and can go much further. And the other people who are doing it but are still not there, they will improve over time. If you keep listening to Gurbani, you'll overcome some of these negative things. But as far as atheists versus religious people, there are a lot of atheists who are much better people than people who don't believe it.
But
my experience is the same.
I see the same thing.
There are atheist people who are really nice guys.
Yeah.
And historically they have been reading a lot of history, and the world fights over a lot of issues have been the reason has been religion. And they are against religion because they know the history, they know a lot of time people get so fundamentalist and then they start fighting, and lot of bad examples at the back of them. There are a lot of religious things said against it, kind of stuff. So that's one thing that people are against religion as such, because it creates a lot of friction.
There are people who are born with more positive aspects to their personality. Maybe it's their previous karmas and all that are making them good people. Depending on what kind of family they are brought up in, they may have either receive very negative vibes about religion, like you were saying, or they may have a loving family who's very religious and on the spiritual path. But there is a lot more to that than that, right? There's your DNA, your personality, or your previous karma, whichever way you look at it.
So Uncle, couple of things, right? ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੇ ਸੀ ਦੋ ਟਾਈਪ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ. ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ for name's sake say that they're religious but really are not following it, because if the actions are not representing what the religion represents, then they're not following it.
They're not a little misguided, they are fundamentalists. They think they're being religious but getting some bad inputs from their family or others.
Yeah, so misguided or they lost their way basically. They definitely, as you mentioned, right, they will probably not follow the real path and follow towards the goal that we have, or walk towards the goal.
There are more fundamentalist type people in every religion who go through the motions and who believe very strongly, but they may be full of anger and hatred at the same time.
But my point was the other side also that you mentioned, right? If people are living a cleaner lifestyle or a better lifestyle today, that bites, but not following religion or the path that Guru Nanak has shown, whatever religion they call themselves to be, then you're essentially, they would not reach the goal either. They will not. Exactly. So basically, both of them are basically not going to be able to reach the goal. to the original point, the atheism from that perspective is very dangerous. And also, religion religion has caused wars. Yeah, the name of, I think, humanity in general has a tendency to divide themselves into different groups and then fight amongst themselves, whether it is on the name of religion, whether it's the name of on the name of color. The blacks and whites, देख लो कितने generations का issue चल रहा है.
An excuse to belong to a group.
Exactly, or it is my caste is this, my creed is this, or it is I'm a man, I'm a woman. We tend to divide ourselves and then keep fighting. Religion is just one excuse. You can use any excuse, and we tend to do that.
And it works a little better because the emotions are so strong already.
And sometimes the facts don't really matter in that case, right? Because you are talking about things which are beyond.
No, in a way, religion tries to brainwash you in a good way.
Yeah.
But the same brainwashing can go in that way. People get brainwashed easily by religion.
Right.
It can go in different directions depending on what the message is. If it's a positive message from the Gurbani, you understand it, that's going to make you a much better person. If you're just getting brainwashed, but you're hearing negative things, you can go the wrong way also in the name of religion.
And I think that's where the challenge is, and that is what the atheists are generally caught on to, right? It's saying, hey, these people who followed the wrong path because they did not really understand the religion, that's why we don't want to follow religion. Okay, look at the folks who actually followed the right path and and then use that as an example, I think is where we need to get to.
I think a big part of it is this whole concept of Vichaar. Sikhi, Sikhya, go Vichaar. If you follow Sikhi without understanding, if you think that Gurbani का ना तो पाठ करना ही है, चाहे समझ आए चाहे ना, जिन्हें जोर दी कीता, जिन्हें ज़्यादा कीता, जिन्हें देर ले कीता, उन्हें मैं चंगा बंदा हूँ, then that's going to take you in a wrong direction. Right? If you really listen to the Guru, then you know it's going to have so much impact. If you try to understand what it is, pay attention. The whole point is to look at the world from the Guru's perspective.
But OV phases again, there are padiyan again, there are steps, because I don't think most people would not be able to start with saying I understand Gurbani on day one. It will be pehle thoda ja suno, thoda ja paath karo, and then you slowly graduate yourself towards that level.
Attention and listening.
You have to at least pay attention. Yes, absolutely.
Try to understand.
Hanji.
Yeah, I think that the religion, all these, and the partition and all this, under the religion and all those things, they may call themselves religious, but they are not. Guru Nanak Dev is back to chalega. They can never have any anger toward anybody. Because Guru Nanak message is Tere Bane Sarpata Para. Okay? We are all children of same God. Abba Lalla Nur Paya Kudrat Ke Sabande. If these philosophies are there, they are not really religious person. Okay. Now another thing is कि खाली जड़ कोई पाठ करता है वो समझता है मैं बड़ा अच्छा है गामा गुरु साहब ने इस करके शब्द पाए ने गुरु साहब से गुरु ग्रंथ साहब पाठ पढ़ियो और वेद विचारियो निवल भुयंगम साधे पंच जना सो संग न छुटकियो अधिक अहम प्यारे इन विद मिल न जाए
कर्म अनेका
ਇਹ ਕੁਝ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੋਲ ਲੈਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਲੋਕ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪੜ੍ਹਨੇ ਆ ਪੂਰਾ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਆਰਾਧਿਆ ਪੂਰਾ ਜਾ ਕਾ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਨਕ ਪੂਰਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਪੂਰੇ ਕੇ ਨਾਮ ਉਹ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਅਦਰ ਸਾਈਡ ਇਹ ਪੂਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ ਦੈਟਸ ਆਨਸਰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਣ
Guru ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣੇ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਛੱਡ ਦੇਵੇ who really listens to the Guru and not to his own mind.
ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਲਈ
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਹੈ ਨੈਕਸਟ
ਕੋ ਦੇਖ ਲਈਏ ਤੋ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੱਲ ਫਿਰ ਬਾਣੀ ਬਾਜ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਲੈਣਾ is a very good smart businessman. He's only 28-year-old and he's a leader of a group ਜਿਹੜਾ which is called a very good religious group and then he comes in to Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Guru Nanak Dev Ji tell him how much night has passed by. Basically what Guru Angad Dev Ji is teaching us perfect 100 मतलब ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੁਖ ਸਿੱਖ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਹਉਮੈ ਸਾਰੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਤੀ ਹੈ ਮਨ ਕੀ ਮਤ ਤਿਆਗੋ ਹਰਜਨ ਇਹਾ ਬਾਤ ਕਠੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਤ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਤਿਆਗ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਤ ਤਿਆਗ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਮਤ ਉਹਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਸਾਰੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ 7 ਸਾਲ ਖਾਲੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ और अपनी बिल्कुल मत and he believed in caste system ऊंच नीच इस believe करते सी देवियां दे सामने नचते सी ये सारे ਇਹਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅੰਗਦ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਸੀ और look at that where he turned around to सारी गुरु दी मत और गुरु साहब ने उन्होंने कहता अंगद you are my part of my body अंगद कहता सो ਇਹ ਵੇ ਕਿ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਹੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੀ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ I don't know anything. ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ
ਉਸੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਿਸ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਇਨ ਵਿਦ ਮਿਲਨ ਨਾ ਜਾਈ ਮੈਂ ਕੀਏ ਕਰਮ ਹਾਰ ਪਰਿਓ ਸਵਾਮੀ ਕੇ ਦਵਾਰੇ ਦੀਜੇ ਬੁੱਧ ਵਿਵੇਕ the answer is in the same
सगल द्वार को छाड़ के
द्वारो द्वार the concept
मतलब कि I have realized my mind, my intelligence is so small as compared to ਜਦੋਂ small ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਤਦ ਤੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਾਂਗੇ ਤੂੰ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਤ ਥੋੜੀ ਆ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੀ ਮਤ ਔਰ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਤ ਦਾ ਕੰਪੈਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇਗਾ ਤਦ ਤੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੱਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਵਿਦ ਦੀ ਕਾਮਨ ਪੀਪਲ ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿਆਣਾ ਵਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿਆਣਾ we need to compare with him ਤੂੰ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਵੱਡਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਉੱਚਾ ਥਾਂ ਤੂੰ ਸਮਰਥ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਤ ਥੋੜੀ ਨਾ ਪਾਲੇ ਕਰਨਾ
So these are some statistics actually. They apna we can see within a matter of just 5 years the trends are constantly Protestant religion which 5% drop ho gaya and people who actually call themselves Protestants all the way to Catholics have lost 1%.
Unaffiliated, which is going up by 4%. Many of those are religious people, but they don't believe more in organized religion. They're trying to go to the essence of religion. So some of those are actually spiritually inclined.
And unaffiliated, which they have divided it into 3 sections, right? Atheists, agnostics, and nothing in particular. Atheists come as part of that, agnostics as well. You're absolutely right. There would be a few of those as well.
Half of that is outside that.
Yes. So half of them are basically people who are saying staunchly, I just do not believe in a God, and some are like, I just don't care.
Do we have some figures for Sikhism also?
Sikhism di nahi hai, because this is basically at the US this level. I see we come in the others section, the other faith. So other faith have actually gone up, but that's because of a lot of influx of people into this country as well.
I see a lot of the kind of what's considered the New Age spirituality.
Yes.
Those numbers are going up. And those people are religious, and they're looking. They go around and they pick things up from Buddhism, Hinduism, even Sikhi, and that part is going up and down.
Yeah. Well, basically,
Some of these people who are coming out of the established religions were the ones who were doing it kind of ritualistically anyway. So I'm not sure the overall trend is necessarily totally bad. There's probably some fall and some growth also of positive kind of stuff.
Hanji, but other faith just plus 2%. The unaffiliated, which is mostly atheists, agnostics, and people who are saying I don't believe in a religion, that has actually gone up by almost 5%. So, which is separate from the other faith section. That is the concerning trend, right? And in terms of youngsters, just like most of the people who are less than, I think, 20 or 25, that is even a worse trend because it's gone up to 33%. So, theek hai, jede bandeyan ne, who are born into a religious family, who have been going to church for, let's say, every Sunday for the last N years, the elders are not stopping it, right? But the generation after that has started stopping it. So almost, I got 20% overall, I get the 33% youngsters which I get in terms of rise of atheism, and it will sooner or later impact Sikhs as well. Ab sade bachon ko impact karega.
Biggest challenge in a way, because the kids growing up here, they have a harder time relating to the way our gurdwaras are run.
Yes.
So there's a much more of a disjointed among other faiths, because the gurdwaras are continuing their stuff in Punjabi that the kids don't even understand, and half of them, even people, I've heard from people of the Khalsa school organizers, okay, once they pass out from here, then we lose them, then they're gone. Come about a certain age, then very small numbers of them stay with it. And part of that is because we haven't adapted to the culture enough to continue to make it meaningful to the kids.
I know we're digressing from the point a little bit, but we have the time, so let us digress. So we should. What can we do? And actually is the question, because honestly, if the people in this room and in the Gurdwara are not able to make any changes, then who else can?
I think we need to have religious services that are organized by younger people in this country.
Right.
A fraction of it done in English, in terms of life over here, in ways that they can understand.
Right.
And at the same time, obviously we cannot leave the traditional services, because the older people relate to them. It's the way we've always done it. You don't want to give up the traditions. But I think we need to have parallel programs that younger people can relate. I think other faiths will do that. If you look at Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, even Muslim services, they have multiple services in their mosques, and a lot of them are in English. They'll do their official stuff in the original language. I mean, they'll do the part of the Quran, all their sermons or their discussions are in English. And so they have both kinds of services going on in their mosques.
So some of the things.
Part of it is done in English, and we are not doing any of that.
Just as our main Gurdwara hai, which the way the system is set up, it is kind of a one-way system, right? It's which you see, aoge, matha tekoge, you go and sit with the sangat, which is very apt actually. There's nothing wrong in that. And then the katha vachaks are one-sided conversation, right? They're just telling you what.
Point of view of teenage kids, They come in there, they go in, they'll do the matha take, they'll do all that, but they don't understand a word of what is going on. Maybe they can look at the screen once in a while, they can see a line or two of translations, but it's hard to relate to the shabad if you don't understand it. If all you're doing is seeing the few translations up there, how much are you going to get out of that?
So discussions are not going to happen. My point was that in that setup, it's hard to have a discussion, just the way the whole room is set up. So
Even if we have some kind of a forum, but we don't see young crowd coming here either. It may be very useful for them, but they don't come and show up here.
Well, this is still not organized.
But we can have more of discourses in English or some.
that can definitely be done.
We as parents, it's our duty to bring our children here and let them understand what the religion is actually and what does it stand
But we
for.
also have to understand what we're doing.
Yeah, I think
have to look at
it's
the other
very
kids.
difficult. I have kids. I tell them, but they don't come.
Hey, oh.
It's not easy.
Let me bring another point here. You see, we see so many American Sikhs here. Those people did not know Gurmukhi. They did not know Punjabi. They did not know a culture. So those people are in some way better Sikh than me. Now, why? Because they had a hunger, they wanted to know, they knew the value. So I think there are, even if we see the people in there, everybody, many of them, 90% of them, they understand Punjabi in very simple language it is there. But they still say, we don't understand it.
But they didn't start out
So,
like that.
ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਭੁੱਖ ਲਗਾਉਣ ਦੀ, okay? ਭੁੱਖ ਲਗਾਉਣ ਦੀ. Those American people, Sikh, who they did not know a word ABC, मतलब ਊੜਾ ਐੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਜਾਣਦੇ. ਅੱਜ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਰਮੰਦਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ. And they're doing kirtan that better than I could never do in my life.
Right, but they did, but their programs through which they got involved were in English. And the ones who are interested.
So generally भूख लगती है ना, they'll find a way. They find a way.
Exactly.
So they
How do you start that book?
That's a good question. That was.
You can make it take a horse to the water, but you cannot make him drink unless he is hungry. So we got to create hunger. So we need to, because Jesus he addressed करनी है, why do we need it? Why do we need Gurbani? Because you want to be happy in your life. But we have to approach from that angle. Rather than saying, you got to become religious. No, you want to be happy in your life.
But how do
Why?
they hear that in the Gurdwara when they don't even understand what's going on?
Because when they are miserable, I mean, why these people, American people, came into this? Because they were not happy with the drugs, they were not happy with the drinking, they were not happy with their family, the way in which the things are going. So they came
But
to.
somebody approached them and said, "Come and join us."
No, they themselves
In a way
reached
that was
to,
understandable.
apna Yogi Bhajan, and he created the book because Gurbani can give you, satisfy your hunger where you have. They are looking for happiness in drugs. They are looking for happiness in alcohol. They are looking in the smoking. In these type of things, they are finding happiness. So when we tell that Gurbani gives you happiness, which is not only a temporary happiness, it gives you eternal happiness. And then you slowly, because that's the way we have to approach it.
Wait, Uncle, look at.
We have to language is not a problem. There are these days,
Why did-
everything is available in English. Okay, they can learn, and that's how the American people have done that.
Their programs are all in English, and only the ones who are interested, then they get deeper into Punjabi and learn Punjabi. If somebody is coming for the first time to one of the Yogi Bhajan, one of the 3HO programs, they are not going to go to a program where everything is going on in Punjabi. Otherwise, they'll never get anybody there.
Uncle.
That's something they do much later. And if you look back to in India, the gurus.
Don't the
they
Yogi
did-
Bhajan, they start with more yogas?
That again is.
That is another way to get them in.
That's the same point.
Whatever
way it is, but-
That's the same point. They are approaching it in a way that they can relate to. They are not saying this is the way Sikhs have always done it. You just come and do the same thing. We'll just do our kirtan, we'll do our Punjabi, you come and
What
participate. He
does
said
religion talk about yoga, by the way?
it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
It considered good or bad?
ਪਰ ਉਹਨੇ
It does, right?
ਸਿੱਖਾ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਪਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੈਟ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਈਆਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਪੈਸੇ ਜੋਗੀ ਨੂੰ
As far as language goes,
ਸੋਸਾਇਟੀ ਦੇ ਕਈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣਾਏ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਸਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਗਾਣਾ ਜੋਗਾ ਸਕੂਲ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਉਸ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ
ਬਟ ਕਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਹੁਤ ਜੈਨੂਇਨ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ
ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਕਰਨਾ
Yeah.
ਹਾਂਜੀ
No, I think he has been given Singh Sir title by Akal Takht Sahib.
ਉਹ ਮਗਰੋਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਾਫੀ ਦੇਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ
ਪਰ ਦੇਖੋ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਜੱਥਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹਰਮੰਦਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, oh my God, I mean look at that, ਸੈਸਕਰੀ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੰਗਲਾਚਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, which we cannot even say that. But look at that, how much that they are born into America, मतलब कि English family.
But it can be done.
It can be done. It can be all done. So ये वे भूख लगानी है और भूख लगाने से हम तरीके लबड़े पहन के अब different तरीके ना मतलब वो है जैसे कि ये हाँ जैसे English देखने सर्विस शुरू कर दें that's also पहले भूख लगानी होना they have to understand think this materialistic life is miserable, is you're not going to find the happiness, you'll find it just only temporary happiness. If you go to Hawaii for a week, you need another vacation after that because you are not happy after that. So ऐसी की चीज़ है कि ये ऐसे वो चीज़ है कि जड़ी हमेशा you will always remain in Hawaii.
But uncle, the challenge is कि जिस तरह के exactly क्योंकि अगर कोई इतने unhappy भी होया साडे let's say the younger generation and they come say oh I want happiness and we say hey go to the Gurdwara you'll get the happiness, well and then they will not understand anything that's going on and they'll say okay this did not work for me.
All of us we have to be ambassadors of Sikhism.
Yes.
Ambassadors always speak the language of the country.
We cannot blame everything on Gurdwara. We all of us we have to be ambassadors of Sikhism.
Have you ever heard
ਸਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਸ-ਪਾਸ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ.
Have you ever heard of an ambassador who goes to a different country where he's the ambassador and says no I'll only speak in the language of my country?
He has to speak there.
Exactly. The Guru Sahib jadon aaya na
But religion, what I'm saying is language is not the only problem. मैं कह रहा हूँ language is not the only problem. जब तक भूख नहीं लगी तो English भी कर लो, भूख नहीं लगी तो कोई नहीं है.
I agree completely. But unless you speak in the language they understand, the rest of it won't work. So it has to be the first step you have to approach them.
Actually we need both. We need both. We need both.
Book is more important. Language भूख जड़ी ये लगाई जा सकती है. It doesn't have to be in Punjabi language. भूख जड़ी ये English लगाई जा सकती है.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. भूख English लगानी है कि फिर उस बात में करना है कि देख क्योंकि जब तक तुसी क्योंकि जेड़े देखने सिख जेड़ा अमेरिकन सिख जेड़े चंगे बने ने all of them read from Guru Granth Sahib. They understand the meaning of that. ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਦੇਖਨੇ ਸੈਸਕਰੀ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ they have done that in less than 10 years. ਇਹ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਜਥਾ ਦੇਖੋ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਹਰਮੰਦਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਨਾ not only everybody can do it. Only top people can do it. ਇੰਨਾ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਰਾਗ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ.
जो ना भूख लगा दोगे ना then they will want to learn Punjabi, they want to learn.
Exactly.
Exactly. ਤੇ ਕਹੋ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਲੱਗੇਗੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ
ਅਸੀਂ we all bear the responsibility to our children, our neighbors, our nephews, nieces, and ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ we bear the responsibility. ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਅਸੀਂ ਭੁੱਖ ਲਗਾਣੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ. So all of us we are ambassadors. We cannot blame all that to Gurdwara. Gurdwara has
I want to add to that though.
Gurdwara is relevant to the one.
We need both, right? We need to do individual ambassadorship we hagi alone. We have to do our own part. But I think there are certain things that a system can do that individuals cannot do. You can have programs ਜਿਹੜੇ systematic level ਤੇ ਚੱਲ run ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ individual level ਤੇ it's because of time, because of other commitments, we'll not be able to manage.
We have to, inculcate that culture of Sikhism in our homes. And we have to keep some kaidas or something, some literature, some photos of gurus and things like that, their teachings. Something so that our children can relate to that. We talk to them in that tone. We tell them that, Gurudwara jana ki fayda hai. If you start from home, I think slowly they will graduate.
Parents
But why should not the Gurdwaras be meaningful to this kids? Why should the Gurdwaras only cater to the old people and not to the young people?
Yeah.
Is there any reason why they should not talk to the young people in a way that they can understand? Guru Sahib को सारा कुछ संस्कृत करता है सर. Guru Sahib ने क्या नहीं जड़ी लोकल बोली है उसे जैसे करना है. ऐसे लोकल बोली केड़ी है. It's not Punjabi. Punjabi is like Sanskrit to the kids. They have to have an open mind.
आपको knowledge नहीं होगा तो पेरेंट्स ने बच्चों को सिखाएंगे ना.
Another thing is
Yeah, that's the other aspect of it.
ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਲੋਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਹਾਂ. ਮੈਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਜਦੋਂ 14 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਕੂਲ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਸੀ. ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਦੇ ਪੂਰੇ 5 ਵਜੇ ਪਾਠ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕੀਤਾ. ਪਾਠ ਕਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਦ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਉਦਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਾਣਾ. ਕਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਸਿਫ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੋਂ ਪਾਠ ਤੋਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਪੜ੍ਹਨਾ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰਪਾਲ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੁੱਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਚਲੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਰੂਟੀਨ ਜਿਹਾ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ ਸੁਣਨ ਲੋਕ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਜੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਲਾਸ ਗਈ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੋਰ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉੱਥੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀ, ਮਾਹੌਲ ਵੀ ਗਿਆ ਬਦਲ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ, ਕੋਈ ਚਾਂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਮਤਲਬ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋਕ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਲੋਕ ਆਏ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਹੈ ਸੁਵਿਧਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਦੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਲੋਕ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਤੇ ਕਥਾ ਕਾਰਜਾਂ ਸੁਵਿਧਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸਗਰਾਂਦ ਦਾ ਦਿਨ ਜਾਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੂਗੇ, ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੁਣ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਜੋਬ ਵੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਤੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪੋ ਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੰਮ ਦੇਣਾ, ਪਰ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਚਲੋ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਿਕ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਜਨਾਨੀ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਉੱਧਰ ਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਦੇਖੋ ਬਾਕੀ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਹੋ ਜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਬੱਚੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਜਾਣਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੇਮ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਹੋਵੇ ਸੇਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ, ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਦੂਜਾ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਜੇ ਫਾਦਰ ਜਾਂ ਮਦਰ ਤੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੋਈ ਫਰਕ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ।
ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦਾ এনवायरमेंट ਡੈਫੀਨਿਟਲੀ ਮੈਟਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਐਂਡ ਇਨ ਸਮ
ਸਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਮ ਵਿਆਹ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਦੇਖਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਡਰਿੰਕ ਕਰਦੇ, ਇੰਨਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਡਰਿੰਕ ਕਰਨ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਡਰਿੰਕ ਕਰਦੇ।
ना आइडियल मैरिज बची नहीं कोई भी, मुझे कह सकता है यदि शादी हुई कि एवरीबॉडी इज प्राउड ऑफ हिम, हार्डली एनी आई हैव
Everything is happening in the families now.
or the mother. The best teacher available is the father and mother. School 30 student ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ class, master ਇੱਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ, but how the parents groom the students to listen to the teacher, that matters most. ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ ਕਈ ਬੱਚੇ ਟੌਪ ਕੀਤੇ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ, ਕਈ ਬੰਦੇ ਪਾਸ ਨਹੀਂ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਜਦੋਂ ਘਰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਤੇ ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਮੱਤ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, that ਮੱਤ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਾਂਗੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, I don't think we'll be able to initiate them into Sikhism.
Another example is parochial school here. I thought that they would teach a lot of Christianity and stuff. My son always end up in local school, which is a parochial school. They have a class and a curriculum as part of their learning to be meant for others, to how to serve the community and stuff. They have to do so many hours every semester. Each semester they will go with ਅਪਾਇਜ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੋ, small kids, old people who are aging. So they take you to the life journey with different ways to at least see what the
So those are
life
creative
is.
things we can do.
So, but on the other hand, they also discuss a lot of religion and stuff. The kid and I talk to my kids, most of them, they are against religion. How they come out, but they are good human beings, but they are against religion. Somehow, I don't know what the education is, what particularly they taught. They talk about marriage, sex before marriage, and they teach a lot of stuff. And they turn out to be good human beings, but religious-wise, they are against.
Well, at that age, a lot of kids will be, but some of the stuff they learn to be in their mind. As you were saying, when you face some misery in your life, then you come back to it.
Come back to
If
it.
you've been given some of that, then you can discover it sometime later in your life. So you still have to feed it to your kids. You still have to give them, expose them to Gurbani, expose them to faith, expose them to positive things. That's what
Some of the
you
ways
can.
ਇਹ ਭੁੱਖ ਲਗਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਨਾ, let me just give you one example now. Many of you know Papa Ji passed away last year. Okay. And we have taken that as an incident for all of our children and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren to participate, to understand what is death.
I think it's excellent.
Everybody is going to die. And now, what are the things he did good? Because of that, people are liking. And what are the things he had the shortcomings? And we can improve on that. Number one thing is to attach to Guru Granth Sahib. His sad part was done by his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Arjan Singh, only 9-year-old, he participated in doing this sad part. Now, sad part, and during that, the people who were sitting in there, when Shabbat comes in regarding the death, we explained, we talked about it. And now, his grandchildren are telling me, maybe we should fake a death in the family and start a Saj part, and we do this.
I think there is a lot to learn from that kind of thing.
And we do Saj part, the way in which we did that, and stop and explain.
That was the important part. It's a understanding the Gurbani and relating to it.
And this is I am they are asking. I mean, example.
I think करना चाहिए था.
So they
You don't have to fake it. You don't have to fake it.
So they are already coming up with, and we set up a time, and it will be done. We'll do the side part, and whoever wants to join can come in, and we'll do the side part and stop wherever they want to know, and they want to understand what this, because they really see the happiness does not come from materialistic thing. Happiness comes from understanding Gurbani and understanding what the life is. And what Guru Sahib is talking about. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਸਾਫ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ. Guru Sahib ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ. You will see so many people who are doing Panjwani da part, and the time when they are जब तक जरा रोग नहीं आया, जब तक काल ग्रसी नहीं आया, तो जिस वेले जरा रोग आया सब कुछ भूल जाता. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਤਨੇ ਲੋਕ ਦੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਕਿ ਹੱਥ ਗੁੱਟ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਫੜੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਹੁਣ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਕੰਨ ਚ ਸੁਣਾਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੰਦਾ, ਉਹ ਸਭ ਪਾਠ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਾਠ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਾ. ਉਸ ਪਾਠ ਨੇ, ਪਾਠ is like you're going on the freeway and there's an exit. You read the exit and you don't take the exit, you're not going to go on. Part is like an exit. It's telling you when you are having problem in your knee, what you're supposed to do. There's a crisis in the family, financial crisis, what you're supposed to do. Guru Bani is a Jivan Jaj, the way of life. It is not mantra that you have to read Panj Bani Path kar le to ho gaya. A mantra nahi hai. A Jivan Jaj hai. What Guru Bani, what Jasdeep Sahib is saying, we have to follow that. और जब तक साड़ी ओल्ड नहीं आएगी, जब तक साढ़े कान हाथ पैर नहीं चलेंगे, वो तो सानू पता की करना है. और जिन्होंने पता है ना गुरमुख बुढ़े कदे ना है, जिन्हें अंतर सुरत गया, सदा सदा हर गुण रवे. कितने बुजुर्ग लोग जड़े सदा सदा हर गुण रवे. अंतर सही है.
How many young people are here?
They're all young. Uncle just said, right? Gurmukh kade.
Sikhism. Religion has multiple purposes. It has very high purposes like you are describing. But one of the biggest purposes is we should be able to say, what is your religion? Right? So my son was raised here and he doesn't know much Punjabi. But he knows our culture very well. And somebody, where he works, somebody on H1B visa, and he's not he's a local guy. They told him, hey, you are more Indian at heart than we are, right? So if I go to his Facebook, he declares openly that he's a Sikh. He doesn't wear a turban, whatever is the reason, right? But he declares openly that he's a Sikh. He doesn't say he's neutral. He doesn't say he's something else. So when the time comes, he comes to the Gurdwara, particularly once a month or something, right? So minimally, we should have all our kids be cultural Sikhs and be able to say that if they have a religion, they should be proudly able to say that they are a Sikh instead of saying we are a non-observant or it doesn't really matter, right? Because one of the great purposes of religion is having an anchor. You can always go back. You may not have the faith at some time. You can recover your faith, right? And depending on what is your ability and what are your circumstances, you can go back completely, right?
I think a concrete aspect of that is that we have to be accepting of all things. We have to start saying, yes, so that kind of
anchorism
that alienates a lot of people.
Yeah, we're a small community. We cannot divide it further. Basically.
कोई भी नहीं कहा कि ना मेरा सानू गुरु गदी दिखाते हैं कि मैं कुछ है नहीं. सो जेड़ा लेकिन पक्का से कहना उसे किसी देखने है कोई नहीं का. खत्म ही हो गया.
Definition should be very broad. Anybody who says I'm a Sikh, we should accept him as a Sikh.
Yeah.
No questions.
Not only that, I just met a Hindu family. They know me very well, and they were looked at me, and we just met at the Langar Sahib. And I was very pleased they are there, and they are Punjabi and Punjabi. Many Punjabi female families stand to be just like Sikhs.
And all the Sindhi, we don't accept them as Sikhs. Yeah, many of them are much better Sikhs than we are.
Oh yes.
They love Gurbani, they follow it in their lives, but we don't accept them as Sikhs.
Actually, I
We
know.
have alienated them.
We don't have the right actually to do that. It's not our right to not accept them.
ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ
ਥੋੜਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਨ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਥੋੜਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਈਏ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਰਕ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ
Oh yeah, I have, let me give you my example. Already my I have 4 volumes of Punjabi University Encyclopedia of Sikhism. You know, it's nice every home to have that, because whenever you have a book, I didn't know lots of stuff. And what they cover is very, very people who have done even a minor contribution to Sikhism. Or did some, as Sikhs, they did something important. Everybody's covered, and all the, they have different things on what is Naam, what is Sikhi, you know, what are different Gurbanis. I think there are other means also. We think like Sikhi books.
They've also made some apps of Sikhism lately.
Yes.
Yeah, that you can download on their.
आजकल इंटरनेट सब कुछ अवेलेबल है, बस बुक चाहिए है,
बुक चाहिए, बिल्कुल।
हर एक चीज अवेलेबल है, एवरीथिंग इज अवेलेबल। केड़ी चीज नेम एनीथिंग इज अवेलेबल, बस भुख दी गल है। ऐसे भुख किसी और चीज दी है, दिस करके देखना है, we cannot।
Right. I mean, and the challenge is also systematic data see start kita siga, but just uncle keh rahe na, it is always useful to have someone doing an individual thing also, and uncle is actually doing a lot of hard work there to see 3-4 jagah I know you already go and you try to guide people in the right direction, I should say. But agar gurdware de level te bhi agar kiसी systematic program hon jithe koi somebody who is born and raised here does not really understand Punjabi, does not there is a way for him. Je book aaye तो रास्ता भी होना चाहिए, because there's a bridge, जिस तरह तुसी कह रहे हो अंकल कि to reach the point where you can do Kirtan in Harmandir Sahib is so far from where the people are today. You need a bridge from there to there, and that bridge still needs to be built. We don't have that. We have individual bridges, but not a systematic bridge.
We can learn from them. I mean, that's what we can see. We can learn from them. How
Yes.
did they reach there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Instead of really reinventing the wheel, we can ask them, oh my God,
Exactly.
how did you get there? You were just bound. And now look at that, you're doing Harmandir Sahib Kirtan. And Sanskrit slok you read just like ordinary thing, you know, as your own language.
Very limited understanding है the way they started, and I think uncle also pointed was ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਮਝ ਆਂਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ, or their limited understanding when they started कि हाँ भी yoga helps or whatever, right? So Harbhajan Yogi Singh ji kind of started from that direction and created the bridge from all the way from yoga helps to this is the path that Guru Nanak has shown.
That is beautiful, but
Yeah.
very broad.
Yeah.
And not only that, those 6 are better than me.
Yeah,
So anybody who's better than me, I have my
at least.
गुरु साहब कहते देखना है जन नानक छोड़ मंगे थे गुरसिख की मैं ते देखना मैंने मिलना ते देंगे चढ़ती कला मैं तो चरण में बदलान दिया
Hey, Jasdeep Singh, you are better than me.
ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਗਏ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਦਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹਿਆ
Exactly.
ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਕਾਨ
Exactly.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਮਿਲੇ ਹੋ
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਸ ਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਇਆ ਮਤਲਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਉਦਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਨਸਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਹੁਣ ਸਿਖਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਢੰਗ ਇਹ ਸੀ
Languages is karke Guru Granth Sahib, which is we will see so many dialects and all across from India. Sanskrit is shlok dekh lo, all the way from to Marathi to Hindi to Bhojpuri. I mean it's all there. I mean the Guru Sahib was not attached to a language.
But I think what he was telling a point is अपने गुरुआं दी जेड़ी history है we like when we grew up, I remember I watched Mahabharat in TV fully. It was like really we उसे PVR भी नहीं होता सीगा. We have to wait for the time when it comes and then
Right.
Okay. So that was the time Ramayana. Who knows what Ramayana is? And we saw that serial. The history is so powerful, but we cannot make an image of our Guru, and we cannot make a serial out of it. It's like just, I don't know.
ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਸਿੱਖਣੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
TV is such a good media.
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
They don't let you act
Right.
Guru. So,
थोड़ा
see,
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਵਤਨ ਤੱਕ
that's the problem.
No, but now the technology is there, right?
Oh, cartoon ji बनाया जाता है, very tough thing to do.
Yeah, but they are
It's not
becoming more and more real now. The cartoons are becoming more and more real. It will become easier now to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, human being no नहीं करते थे साड़ी tradition just like Muslim we have the same issue.
I don't know why they do it.
The point you're saying is
that the Bani talks
जी बाणी
something
पढ़ोगे
like
ना, ये बाणी समझोगे ना, हम पे समझ आएगी। हले कोई
What is the answer? I just want to know.
Try not to question all that. Okay? Try not to question those things. Okay? Accept these things. जब तक सारी पहली गल जे सिक्खी वाला मारे चलना है ना, पहला काम है क्या सब कुछ जो कुछ कर रहे हैं ठीक कर रहे हैं। जब तक ऐसी एक जब क्वेश्चन करता है
Talking about the
we will never be able to
nice media to educate people is what I was trying to say.
देखो गुरु साहब जो कर रहे हैं वो सब ठीक है, but these things are not being done by Guru Sahib, these are done by us. Now, part of the issue I think is that we have become very strong on following tradition, which is a good thing up to some point. But remember the Gurus themselves
They broke all tradition. Yeah.
In fact, each of the succeeding Gurus even broke the tradition started by the previous Gurus. They were willing to adapt, they were willing to change. So we have to find the balance between following good traditions, because we don't want to give up traditions. Traditions are very important, but at the same time be innovative and be open. And we have become rigid in
It will be a different topic to talk about, but we're talking about गुर की मूर्त मन में there are hundreds of example I can tell you. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਆਪ ਜੁੜੋਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆਏਗਾ। ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਐਕਸੈਪਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਤਦ ਤੱਕ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਲੇਕਿਨ you are asking a question of a PhD level and when we have or in the secondary school ਕਿ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਐਕਸੈਪਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਮੂਰਤ ਮਨ में ਧਿਆਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸ਼ਰੀਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸ਼ਰੀਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ शब्द है शब्द गुरु सुरत तो चेला सानू जब तक शब्द ही समझ नहीं आएगी तब तक कुछ नहीं समझांगे इस करके असी क्वेश्चन ना करिए असी try to fit in ourselves into this method and try to भुख लगाने की कोशिश करिए असी आप भुख लगाइए जब तक सानू आप भुख नहीं लगी बच्चा असी दूजे ने जिन्होंने भुख नहीं लगेगी वो नहीं आंदे क्यों नहीं असी किहड़ा आंदे just look at ourselves
ਨਹੀਂ ਪਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਐਨਕਰੇਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ
ਪਰ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋ
ਜਿਸ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਮੰਨੇ ਮੱਗ ਨਾ ਚੱਲੇ ਪੰਥ
ਹਾਂ ਹਾਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਬਿਨਾ
as far as the specific thing goes about the image of the gurus, I personally think, I'm not sure that's a good idea anyway.
I think that's
but in general I think we need to be
Sir,
flexible.
what he has conveyed is some way or the other we have to reach the people. This is your guru, this is your religion. How do we reach? Let's get into that. Okay, you don't want to have
ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਰਿਲੀਜ਼ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੀਏ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਆਰ ਵੀ ਰੈਡੀ ਟੂ ਆਨਸਰ ਦੈਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ
I think that
ਸਾਡਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛੀਏ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ
Jagmohan Singh, I think we need another discussion by you on what is guru because it means it's a very big topic. It's not just human beings. It's also guru as a Shabad, guru as a spirit, guru as light, knowledge. Right? So it's
ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੈਂ ਥਾਲੇ ਉਹ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਦੇਖੋ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਐਬਸੋਲੂਟਲੀ ਰਾਈਟ ਬਟ ਆਈ ਵਿਲ ਗਿਵ ਯੂ ਅਨਦਰ ਐਸਪੈਕਟ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਗਏ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਅੰਗਦ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਗਏ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਟੋਟਲ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਗੁਰੂ ਅੰਗਦ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਗਏ ਲੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਗਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕੋਲ ਟੋਟਲ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਕੀ what happened then ਸਿੱਖੀ ਅਤੇ ਸੰਗਤੀ ਪਾਰ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਕਰਨ ਮਸ਼ਕਾ ਲਿਆ he was the embodiment of God ਉਹ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫੇਥ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪੂਰਾ ਪਾਰ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਸੋ ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ जिस से ਅਸੀਂ ਫੇਥ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਉਹ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਆ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਮਝ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ that we can recognize ਕਿ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਹੈ
ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ
ਕਿਸਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ
but you still have to interpret it.
Yes.
ਬਸ ਇਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਵੀ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟ ਕਰੀਏ ਆਪ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟ ਕਰੀਏ ਆਪ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟ ਕਰੀਏ ਆਪ ਸਮਝੀਏ ਆਸਾ ਵਾਰ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਿਤਨੇਮ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਿਤਨੇਮ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਪ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਮਝੀਏ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਮਝਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆਏਗੀ
But समझने लिए we have to listen to other people because we can't understand.
Why we have to understand? ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੀ ਬੈਠਾ ਉਹ ਸਮਝਾਏਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੂਜੇ ਤੇ ਰਿਲਾਈ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ this is what will happen ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣ ਜਾਣ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਨਾ ਬਣੀਏ। ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸਿੱਖ ਲੈਣ, ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਲੈਣ, ਇਹ ਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਆਪ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣੀਏ and we become the ambassadors.
We are not smart enough to learn everything by ourselves. That's why Sangat is important.
Why not? Sangat, yeah.
You have to listen.
That's right.
We have to like Sangat ਤੋਂ ਬਗੈਰ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਦੀ, ਕੋਈ ਬਾਤ ਨਹੀਂ।
So you're listening to other people. That's what I'm saying. You have to listen.
ਨਹੀਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੀ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਸਮਝੋ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਡਿਫਾਈਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੈਸੀ ਜਾਣੀਏ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਏਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਬਖਾਨੇ, ਏਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਬੁਲਾਏ।
Because when I started reading Gurbani, I did not understand a lot of it. I had to read books and I had to read other people's interpretations first. Then, after a certain stage, now I'm doing my own thing. I read the Gurbani and I listen to Guru's word itself and I do my own interpretation in my own heart. But to get there, first you do have to understand, and for that you do need other people's reports and that's it.
Yes,
But you have to pick
I
wise
was
people.
100 miles behind
not silly
you.
people.
I was 100 miles behind you. ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਦੇਖ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਆਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਗੁਰਮੁਖੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ।
ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਲੋਕ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿੱਖੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ। ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ।
ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦੀ ਬਿਆਨ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੌਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੋ people who want to learn about this ਸ਼ਬਦ what ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ।
ਲੇਟ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਓ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ।
We got into it from arguing about blind faith, and that is one of those fine divisions. There is surrender and acceptance. अपने ego overcome करके listening to the Guru, having total faith in the Guru, but the Guru himself says कि अपने विवेक बुद्धि use करो. To interpret, to understand Gurbani, you have to use your own brain also.
Yeah.
So there's this fine line between having total faith and also being smart about it.
There is God.
Guru Sahib ने example देते हैं।
अकली साहिब से भी है, अकली पाइए मान अकल भी यूज करनी है
पर गुरु जी
पर साहिब को समझना पहले साहिब कौन है क्या असी
So we have to find the right balance there also.
Right.
Surrendering your ego completely and having faith at the same time, being sensible about what is real and what is just blind faith. So I think there's truth on both sides of that.
ये दोनों पासे है टोटल ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਚੇ ਗੁਰ ਤੇ ਕੋ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਾ ਹੁਆ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਚੇ ਗੁਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੱਚੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੇਥ ਰੱਖਤਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਅਪੀਅਰ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸਾ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਲਾ ਦੋੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸਾ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ has to be so intelligent he can find out who is the true guru ਮੱਖਣ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਲੁਬਾਨਾ ਨੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਨਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਲਾ ਦੋੜੇ 8ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਭੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਲੱਭੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਜਾ ਸਿਖਾਈਏ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਭਣਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਟਰੂ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਫੇਥ ਨਾ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਜਾਂਚ ਵੀ ਸਿਖਾਈਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ we have a way to learn everything.
We are actually lucky in a way because most of us are born in that.
Either in Gurbani or Guru's life has been brought in. All the question, any question in this congregation come up. सारे गुरु दी लाइफ ने आंसर होए ने या गुरु ने सच आंसर होए. Everything has been answered.
The uncle and we have been lucky in a way, right? Because most of us were born into Sikh families. We already have a guru with Guru Sahib's grace who we know is already at that level where we don't need to now worry about that. Now it's all about we taking the next step of walking towards that. वो भी एक कदम लेना है बस बाकी तो गुरु साहब ने आप आके ले जाना है
Understanding Gurbani, interpreting it
Exactly.
correctly, and there's actually not just understanding but actually acting out.
exactly
कमानी नहीं होती है ना सिर्फ समझने की बात नहीं होती पहले समझने का कमाना है
it's a step right
levels of challenge
it's like as you read you understand and you follow हाँ जी
ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੀ ਜੋ ਤੇ ਜੋ ਫੋਟੋਆਂ ਰੱਖੀਆਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਜੋਤ ਜਗਾਈ ਵਾ ਘਰ ਜਿਹਨੀ ਅਮਰ ਛਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਹੀ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕਰ ਮੈਂ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਮਰ ਛਕਿਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਕਮਰਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਫੋਟੋ ਰੱਖੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋਤ ਕਿਉਂ ਜਗਾਈ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਤਾਂ ਧਰਮ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਮਰ ਛਕਿਆ ਫੇਰ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ
Why? Because मैं ये हो के आया इंडिया most of the gurdwara entry ਦੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ left side ਤੇ you will see देसी घी ਦਾ ਇੰਨਾ ਵੱਡਾ दिया जल रहा है टच करके अपने माथे से ला के जा रहे हैं everywhere. I went to दुखनेवार था and there were some gurdwara in Kapurthala, Sultanpur Lodi. They all are doing it same बाहर रखा हुआ है दिया
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਘਰ
जो चल रही है जो करके like देसी घी का पूरा and they have a machine that non-stop देसी घी slowly जाएगा अंदर and they created a nice machine.
Basic idea was to have light over there, and people are misinterpreted everything.
Even if it is there, how does it affect in our spreading, Sikhism to our children?
No,
that is, yeah, I think.
It doesn't impede, I say.
There's nothing wrong with it, sure.
No, but the thing is,
Actually,
But the people who don't understand, they get it. It's a bad idea. But you as a Gurdwara, you are teaching something.
Hey, otherwise it becomes.
the problem comes when
so maybe
Since we are discussing this disturbing inroads that is happening into our Sikhism. These
Right.
are inroads.
Hanji.
We are learning from different religions. I'm very sorry to say, I bought a covered page पे कहते हैं ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਰੱਖਣ ਨਾਲ ਕਲੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਕਰੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ 5 ਵਾਰੀ ਗੁਟਕਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਦੁੱਖ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਵਾ ਸਕਦਾ
That also is
See, it
that.
is a very disturbing trend. I want to do path, but the moment I read that cover page, ਪਹਿਲੇ ਹੀ ਮੈਂ put off ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. My mental state is, my mindset changes.
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਉੱਚਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਦ ਕਥਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟਿਪੀਕਲ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਥਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ 'ਚ he teach the same thing.
Lot of
ਅੱਛਾ,
times,
ਮੈਂ,
some of them do.
ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੜੇ ਉੱਚੇ ਕਥਾਕਾਰ ਵਗੈਰਾ I am a very small person. ਮੈਂ ਕਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਮਝਣੀ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ. I do it mechanically ਕਿ ਕਦੀ ਤੇ ਆ ਹੀ ਜਾਏਗਾ. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਲਿਖਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਜ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ get into a mental block ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਤੇ 2 ਪੇਜ ਬੜੇ ਅੱਛੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਜਾਣਗੇ. See, when I am advocating Sukhmani Sahib the part, I am doing it to get, if I understand some enlightenment, a little peace of mind, थोड़ा जिहा अपने लिए. But if somebody tells me कि अगर कोई article, you see, so you start 2 पौड़ियाँ पढ़ लो 2 पढ़ियाँ कर लो.
they all seem to be ways by no, I agree.
Take it that way. I may be wrong.
Hanji.
There is a gudka, I don't know the name of that. It has for different bimariyan, different things,
Yes.
a specific.
दुख पंजनी
It's not Dukh Panjani Sahib. It has collected Shabad from Guru Granth Sahib
Hanji.
from all over, and this one is for this, this one is for this, this one is for this,
Yes,
this one
I'm
is for
talking
this.
exactly about it.
That one is a good card.
I think we need-
He gave
Yes.
from India to hand it over to their idiot.
And
I'm
this,
bringing it and I'm looking at it and then I don't know.
so I think this topic is very, very intriguing. So I would.
very different topic I think from what we are talking, but गल गलत नहीं है, लेकिन मेरा अपना feeling ये है कि there are people at different levels of awareness. And there is some people for whom it might be even useful or might be able to do something for them, even though सानू कईयों को लगेगा भी ये कितना.
I'll give you a parallel. I'll give you a
But for
parallel.
some people it may be meaningful.
No, it's a very meaningful parallel. There's a parallel. The parallel, if you talk to a Bodhi, he will tell you should breathe. Breathe deeply whenever you want to change your mind and change the way you're thinking, right? So these are all tools, mechanisms. Some people, a writer in a secular world may have difficult, get a writer's block. He'll go out for a walk, right? He'll do something, he might have a coffee. There are many things. He might read somebody else's poetry, right? So, I mean, these are various mechanisms that there's no single answer.
Yeah, and also if कोई छोटी चीज चाहिए material
Somebody will go sleep.
I mean, what are the options that person has? A common person, what are the options he has? It is better to do part with that feeling कि शायद मेरी problem solve हो जाए, than going to tune prene and other kind of things.
Mind gets somewhere.
Better to ऐसे बहाने रब दा ना ही लो.
because the best thing is if you
Actually,
actually
ideal thing.
Yeah.
the best thing is if you do the part and actually understand what's in there.
Yeah.
किसे बहाने ना नहीं करो, but if you understand it and you get into it, the Gurbani starts having
And
effect.
hopefully you will learn.
Bani is all metaphoric.
But if you treat it like
But they see
mantra,
literally the same meaning and then they try to repeat the same thing.
but if you treat it like a mantra, if you do it like a ritual and you never go beyond that stage, then of course you are going against what Gurbani is really teaching you. That means you're not really listening to Gurbani.
Yeah, we even have a
Because if you actually listen to what Gurbani says, then you would go beyond that. You would limit
That's
yourself.
ਸਰ ਇੱਕ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਮ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਵੀ ਸਰ ਮੰਤਰ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ
ਮੂਲ ਮੰਤਰ
ਤੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਹੁਣ ਕੋਈ ਮੂਲ ਮੰਤਰ ਦਾ 1000 ਵਾਰੀ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ
Mantra is a very popular thing.
ਆਪਣਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਹੈਗਾ
But if you do it as a mantra, you might never get beyond that.
Yeah.
Vaheguru, repeating Vaheguru is not necessarily going to give you progress unless you're in the right frame of mind, you're paying attention, you're feeling God's presence. If you only do that and nothing else,
which was not much
it's not going to take you anywhere. That's why do we need 1430 pages?
But it may be better than not doing anything.
Yes.
Maybe, but if that was enough, instead of 1430 pages, Guru Sahib would have given one word.
I think Lokakhand Path.
Obviously, you need more than that, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on looking at level thing.
I have no objection to it. People do Akhand Path, it's a ritual, it's been going on, it is on in our tradition. It generates jobs for the vice.
That's not the objective.
It's one of the objectives.
But there are a lot of other ways.
No, but you also need the Kirtan, it's a tradition.
I would like to know the meaning, why the Akhand Path was started and how it was started.
Well, Akhand Path used to be there before Sikhism.
नहीं actually this is
Government पहले भी करते होंगे सन अखंड
मैं ਇਹਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਇਹਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੋਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਵੇਲਾ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਜੰਗਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਭਟਕ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਿਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਬੀੜ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਭੱਜੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਲੁਕੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਧਰੇ 2-3 ਦਿਨ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਣੇ ਅਗਰ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੀ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਕਰ
That's our story.
So that was the origin how it started. It was not actually the meaning of Yajikari.
But you know, Akhand Paths used to be, Akhand Paths of Ramayana and other things used to be done for thousands of years before. So the phrase, the name Akhand Path was already there.
Yeah.
So it's not that the Sikhs invented it. That may be one thing, but also it's just a ritual that people
from there.
And also the printing limitation.
A ritual which used to be around.
And if somebody in your family dies and you do not do the Akhand Path, people will notice.
No, you can do Saj Path too. Many people do Saj Path.
No, either you do sad part or Akhand Path, depending on what you're doing. If you are not doing it, it is not noticed. You can notice. It's non-Sikh.
नहीं but अखंड पाठ का एक और reason भी क्या सीगा was the number of bead sahibs were very limited at that time, but there were many reasons for that. The number of bead sahibs, there was no printing press, so there was another. So
like most rituals, a ritual can be good if it's done the right way. If you don't focus on the ritual itself, but you get to the deeper meaning. Akhand Path can be very good if it means that a lot of people are getting together doing part for a period of time intensely.
Right.
If you are only paying money, getting some guys to do it,
Yes.
and you're saying can Akhand Path karta hai, then it's a pure empty ritual. So even I always want to apologize.
Golden Temple ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਹੀ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਦਾਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੈਸੇ ਭੇਜੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਧਰੋਂ ਸਰਟੀਫਿਕੇਟ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵਰਚੁਅਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਾਲ ਹੋਏ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਸਰਟੀਫਿਕੇਟ ਦੋ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜਤਾ
So what is good of that is not the Akhand Path.
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਭੋਗ ਇੰਨੇ ਵਜੇ ਪਿਆ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਵਾਕ ਨਿਕਲਿਆ ਉਹ ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਾਪੀਆਂ ਚਲੇ
Amarpal Singh ji.
ਫਿਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ
Let's have this one conversation at a time. You need to,
Wrap.
one thing going on. Otherwise, we are just all.
And getting back to the topic of we intentionally digressed because we had the time from the Sakat topic. So I'll just go through a Shabad. कि गुरु साहब की कहते हैं Sakat दे बारे च and हाँ जी
One discussion at a time, please.
बिन सिमरन जैसे सर्प अर जारी. Without meditation and in remembrance of the Lord, one's life is like that of a snake. त्यों जीवे साकत नाम बिसारी. That is how the faithless cynic lives, forgetting the name of the Lord. So, Guru Sahib, it's not us talking about who's good, who's bad, साकत ठीक है कि नहीं. This is what Guru Sahib is saying about a साकत. क्योंकि जेड़ा बंदे ने ऐ कह रहे थे ना मैंने religion दी लोड़ नहीं है कि he's effectively saying मैंने नाम सिमरन दी लोड़ नहीं है कि I don't want to follow that path of life, and that's what Guru Sahib is saying. त्यों जीवे साकत नाम बिसारी. एक निमक जो सिमरन में है जिया, one who lives in the meditative remembrance even for an instant, कोट दिनस लाख सदा थिर थिया रहाओ, lives for hundreds of thousands and millions of days and becomes stable forever. Bin Simran dhrik karam karas. Without meditation and remembrance of the Lord, one's actions and works are cursed. Tag batan bishta mehvas. Like the crow's beak, he dwells in manure. Bin Simran bhai kukar kaam, without meditation or meditating in the name in remembrance of the Lord, one acts like a dog. Sakat besua poot ninab. This is what now Guru Sahib is saying about a sakat.
Language, but it's basically saying, don't go down that path.
Don't go down that path, absolutely. The faithless cynic is nameless like the prostitute's son. Bin Simran jaise seeing chatara. Without meditating in remembrance of the Lord, one is like a horned ram.
Horned ram क्यों है?
Oh, bull jara on na.
It means it's all waste you have. You're carrying all this big stuff on your head.
Head, which is useless.
और ठीक.
Bole kur sakat mukh kara. The faithless cynic barks out his lies and his face is blackened. Bin Simran gardab ki nyai. Without meditating in remembrance of the Lord, one is like a donkey. Sakat than bharisht firai. The faithless cynic wanders around in polluted places. Bin Simran kukar har kaya. Without meditating in remembrance of the Lord, one is like a mad dog. Sakat lobhi bandh na paya. The greedy faithless cynic falls into entanglements. Bin Simran hai atam khati. Without meditating in remembrance of the Lord, he murders his own soul. Sakat neech tis kul nahi jati. The faithless cynic is wretched without family or social standing. Jis bhaya kripal tis satsang milaya. When the Lord becomes merciful, one joins the satsanga, the true congregation. Kav Nanak gur jagat taraya. And that's how the Guru has saved the world.
Is it a single?
We need to start.
This is one Shabad.
They need the rooms.
Hanji.
So we need to start the process of running up.
Yeah, so this is, we are almost done basically. So we had a nice conversation around Sakat, being good and not being religious. This is what Guru Sahib says about Sakat. And then I think just last Shabad before we wrap up for today. Sakat hara sadhna janya tirantar hame kanda hai, which we read almost on a daily basis, or should be on a daily basis. The wicked Shakats, the faithless cynics, do not know the taste of the Lord's sublime essence. The thorn of egotism is embedded deep within them. Sakat nirguni ara, apana mool pachan. You worthless, faithless cynic, recognize your own religion. And Sakat sach na bhavai kude kudi paye. The Sakats, the faithless cynics, do not take the truth. False are the foundations of the false. Sakat har sadhna janya tinantar home kanda hai. We did that one earlier. The Sakat the andar home da kanda hai. So this is what Guru Sahib is basically saying about Sakat. It is not about having man saaf hona, feeling whether we don't need religion because religion has its own problems. It's like saying, problems are there everywhere, right? Families have problems. Does not mean you just abandon your family. Every place there are problems. So we need religion. We need good religion.
I heard from you. It seemed to me that we are part of we are like flowers. That the flower grows in an environment where it can get nourishment.
Right.
So similarly, I as an ego as individual have no standing, right? I am part of a bigger whole, which is the nature, so most of what you're saying is I don't understand about the Sakat. It's mostly about the fact that we need to be we should nourish ourselves as part of a much bigger whole, which is Paramatma, Vaheguru, and meditation of that type.
Right.
So it's...
So Sakat essentially over here was meaning somebody who renounces faith in a Guru. जो किसी Guru da lad nahi le raha.
Sakat is one who's driven by Maya, by worldly things.
By worldly things.
No, we are all driven by Maya.
By spiritual guiding.
That's one aspect of Sakat.
Yes.
Everybody here is driven by Maya.
We all have a little part of Sakat.
No, we all have parts of Sakat.
And the Shakti follow karta or Sakat whose emphasis on that side. But we have both emphasis, right?
Yeah.
We just have to shift the balance.
Well, peace of mind, we need a certain kind of a connection to Paramatma, a connection to the nourishing part, that we get, if we are thinking on something, we get tired.
Right.
Right, that is where you need the connection back.
And you need the guidance of the Guru.
Right.
It's very powerful. It's hard to do it by ourselves.
Absolutely. And the Sangat. The Guru and the Sangat. All right. So
how do we get the guidance of the religions except read Gurbani?
No, so you read. So I think that's what it is. It's about Gurbani and Sangat, right?
What is the bigger question?
Sangat.
You are going to meditate meditation. Reading
We
Quran
can
is
keep
by
the
no means
discussion.
a meditation.
No, that is right. But to show, who will show you the path to how to meditate or what to meditate on?
Oh, Sikhs don't have a big tradition of meditation.
That's it. You can
That is, we need to change that then.
It's a very good session because this is all about interaction and discussion. So I haven't had as much, so I want to thank you all for participating this much for the actual discussion.
Yeah. And I apologize for.
Come back again and continue to participate. That's what's important. That's what makes it good.
Absolutely. Thank you.